Welcome to the Xplainer. Okay, today we're unpacking one of the most fascinating corporate showdowns in modern history. At its absolute peak, Blockbuster was just this unstoppable force in American entertainment. And on the other side, a tiny, kind of obscure startup called Netflix that was just mailing DVDs to people's homes. It's a true David and Goliath scenario, with the incredible irony that Netflix kicked off its massive tech disruption by relying on the U.S. Postal Service, an institution that's even older than Blockbuster.
So, you gotta wonder, how exactly did a tiny startup defeat an empire? I mean, we all know how this story ends, right? Today, Netflix is a global entertainment titan, and Blockbuster is pretty much a relic of the past. But the actual mechanics of how a company that completely dominated the movie rental industry ended up losing its crown, it's honestly incredibly surprising.
All right, let's get right into Section 1, the entertainment giant. Thousands. I'm talking about the thousands of physical stores Blockbuster operated at its height. They were serving millions upon millions of loyal customers. Their physical footprint was absolutely staggering, making them a completely dominant force in how the entire world consumed entertainment. But think about their model for a second. It was built entirely around physical friction. You literally had to travel to a store, browse the aisles, and rent a physical tape or disc. But their real Achilles heel? The late fee. Blockbuster was essentially generating massive profits by penalizing their own customers for delayed returns. It created this fundamentally antagonistic relationship that was just disguised as a business model.
Which brings us to Section 2, a new way to rent.
So while Blockbuster relied heavily on those physical stores and those super frustrating late fees, Netflix offered a completely different philosophy. They launched a subscription DVD by mail service, just a flat fee, doorstep delivery, and crucially, no late fees whatsoever. They entirely removed the friction for the customer. Now, let's move to Section 3, the turning point. And this is where it gets really good. Picture this. It's the year 2000, and Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings actually approaches Blockbuster about a potential partnership or maybe even an acquisition. Now, the exact details and specific interpretations of this famous meeting, they remain hotly debated to this day, but the outcome is totally undisputed. Blockbuster passed on the opportunity, and the two companies went their separate ways into a rapidly changing future. Over the next decade, the whole landscape shifted at warp speed. Following the DVD by mail era and that fateful 2000 meeting, things really accelerated. By 2007, broadband internet began to fundamentally rewrite the entire infrastructure of the entertainment industry, rapidly paving the way for the shift to streaming. And this led directly into what we call the overhead trap. See, Blockbuster's enormous physical store network, which remember was once its absolute greatest strength and a massive barrier to entry, eventually became a crippling disadvantage. As consumer behavior rapidly shifted online, having to maintain thousands of physical buildings and pay thousands of employees suddenly became a massive anchor, weighing the whole company down.
All right, moving into Section 4, the fall of Blockbuster.
Now, here's a crucial point to understand. Netflix didn't single-handedly destroy Blockbuster. It was actually more like a perfect storm of fatal flaws. Blockbuster was dealing with massive corporate debt, crushing physical overhead, intense market competition, and a really severe strategic lag when it came to adapting to digital trends. So by 2010, time simply ran out. Despite making some lead attempts to pivot to digital services, the mounting financial pressures were just insurmountable. The company officially filed for bankruptcy, and just like that, their thousands of iconic stores rapidly vanished from our neighborhoods. Netflix, on the flip side, survived and really thrived because they were willing to fundamentally transform themselves. I mean, they shifted completely away from mailing DVDs and went all in on online streaming. And then they evolved again, moving from simply distributing other people's movies to actually producing their own massive original content. They didn't just ride the wave of the changing internet, they steered it. Let's wrap this up with Section 5, the ultimate business lesson. These core takeaways apply to almost any industry. Number 1, never get too comfortable with your own success. 2, you have to listen to changing customer behavior. If they hate late fees, fix the late fees. 3, embrace new technology rather than fighting it. And finally, number 4, be willing to disrupt your own business before someone else does it for you. Keep in mind, Netflix literally cannibalized its own highly successful DVD business to build a global streaming empire. At the end of the day, the story of Netflix and Blockbuster isn't really about movies at all. It's about change. Blockbuster built an empire around the way people watched entertainment yesterday, while Netflix built its future around the way people would watch it tomorrow. In business, sometimes the biggest threat isn't your competitor, It's the world changing while you're still doing what worked before. So ask yourself, in your own life or business, are you defending yesterday's model or are you building for tomorrow?